Coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, updates from Indy on defensive tackle Jalen Carter, players that shined on day one of actual activities, and you'll hear from a couple defensive backs that I got my eye on as they take the field today at the Scouting Combine on this Friday, March 3rd, 2023.
Just win. Just win. Just win. Just win.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. And won. And won. And won. And won.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raider podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen each and every day. Remember, you can find the Locked On Raider podcast free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Thanks to my man, Ari. I tell you, each and every day, he's responsible for making sure we're up there, and he does a great job. I definitely appreciate him, and hopefully you do as well. And if you do, shout him out on Twitter. Hit him up at Ari Produces. He'll appreciate that as well. Plenty to get to on today's show. We're closing out the week really strong. It seems like I just landed in Indy, and now, tomorrow I'll be taking off bright and early, be landing back in Las Vegas. But hopefully you've enjoyed this week from the Scouting Combine. It's the first time I've been here, so the first time I've been able to cover the Combine like we have this week. I've had a lot that we brought to the table, and like I said, hopefully you enjoyed it. I know I've been having a blast being out here, not only covering the Combine, being able to cover these guys that are going to be potential NFL players as the draft comes up at the end of April, but also networking with a lot of folks in the industry as well, just trying to bring more content and get more connections so I can bring more content to the table. So, like I said, hopefully you've been enjoying all that. Wanted to give you some updates on what was going on in Indianapolis on Thursday. Defensive tackle Jalen Carter from Georgia, he actually returned after leaving the Combine on Wednesday when it was announced that he had 2 arrest warrants in Georgia for that accident that ultimately killed his teammate and former Georgia staffer. They were racing, or at least allegedly they were racing, driving at a very high rate of speed, and he had lied to the police about being on the scene, said he was really far away from it, and then come to find out he wasn't. But to his credit, he left on Wednesday, returned to Georgia, turned himself in, went to jail, and was bonded out $4,000 and returned to the Combine. And I think that that's really a big deal. I really do. And I talked about him on Thursday's show and said that I didn't think that the Raiders, because of, just reading the room and, of course, everything that happened with the Henry Ruggs situation, even though I realize it's not apples to apples, just don't know if he's available for the Raiders to draft at number 7 just because of the look of it. But maybe they will. Maybe they have plan in place. Maybe, since it's so early in the process, since he still has, almost 2 full months before the draft actually happens, maybe this investigation will be able to go down and he'll clear his name and everyone will feel good about him moving forward. And, maybe he'll go number 1 overall. Maybe he'll drop to the Raiders at number 7. I talked to a lot of people at the Combine on Thursday and, I kind of said, well, what do you think? Do you think that the Raiders would take a big PR hit if they were to make a move like that? And some of them said yeah, some of them said no, some of them said, well, kind of maybe, but if they have a plan in place, then they'll be okay with it. And some said, you know what, maybe they just don't care, right? And I don't think that that's the case, but I get it. In some NFL teams, well, they'll just look at it and say, hey, no big deal, he's good, especially depending on how the investigation turns out. But I want to give him a lot of credit. I really do. He didn't have to return to the Combine. He's going to go in the draft at some point, right? He could have just said, hey, I'm not going to return. I need to get my life in order. I need to get my head right. I need to make sure that everything here is taken care of. He could have made any kind of excuse. I'll see you at my pro day. But he returned, right? And I don't know if he's actually meeting with teams since he returned, but I do know he was on the field on Thursday as the defensive players, the defensive linemen were going through drills, and he was out there cheering his teammates on. I think that's a big deal. To be out there supporting them when he didn't have to do that, I do think that that's a really big deal, and, it shows some maturity, and I'm sure that the NFL teams are taking notice as well, and I'm sure some NFL teams will talk to him, but, that has not been confirmed, so I can't say that, but, it just feels like some teams are going to try to make sure they go out of their way to at least talk to him and ask him what was going on and what happened. But I want to give him a lot of credit. I really do. He did not have to return to Indianapolis, but he did. So I think that was a nice step in the right direction and showing a mature side of Jalen Carter. Now, how about some of the guys that were actually on the field doing it really big? Nolan Smith, another Georgia guy. He was killing it at the Combine. And, I played his podium session on the podcast on Thursday, and he was phenomenal, right? He was just absolutely – actually, it was Wednesday. Yeah, he was phenomenal at the podium. And so to see what he did on the field on Thursday was even better. Was it Wednesday or Thursday I played it? I can't remember. All the days are running together. But what he said on the podium and the energy that he brought and the way that he's just he's one of those guys that you want to have in the locker room. I'll tell you what. He was a guy that was before his pec injury in 2022. He was going to be a very high draft pick. You know, he actually could have left after the 2021 season after they won the national championship, could have gone to the draft, but he returned. He tore his pec, so he wasn't able to finish. A lot of people thought that was going to make him drop in the draft, but man, what he did on Thursday out there on the field was impressive. He ran an official 4.3940. It's the second fastest 40 by a defensive lineman since 2003. He had a 41.5-inch vertical and 1.52 seconds on the 10-yard split. Dude was out there just doing the damn thing. I mean, he was a monster out there. And I'll tell you what, it's basically what he said at the podium he was going to do. He hadn't played football in a long time. He wanted to get out there and be competitive and show what he could do. And he brought it. He absolutely brought it. So I want to give him a lot of credit. Another guy that you heard his podium sound on the podcast, that's Iowa linebacker Jack Campbell. How about for this? For a linebacker, 4.65, 40-yard dash. Pretty stinking good. He also killed it. Vertical, 37.5 inches. Jack Campbell is the guy that can go. He is an absolute player, so look out for him. I think he's going to be someone pretty stinking special. Matter of fact, on my radio show on Thursday, Brad Spielberger from Pro Football Focus, I had him on, and I asked him about Iowa linebacker Jack Campbell. This is what he had to say.
And the Jack Campbell guy who's skyrocketing right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Iowa linebacker. He also had a pretty funny podium. You know, gave some good quotes. But yeah, I mean, a guy that I think in this class, it's not a great linebacker class. I think he is a top linebacker in this class. So maybe that helps him out because he moves up the board a little bit.
Yeah.
But just a big guy. In today's NFL, they obviously want some lighter, speedier linebackers. He can still cover and move well at a bigger size, which is the dream, really.
He's been a guy that even my guy Vinny, who's not here right now, he's over watching all the drills. He keeps saying, "Q, watch him. Just watch him. Keep him on your radar." He keeps saying he's. I feel like he's a guy that the Raiders would be very interested in. Patrick Graham would want in his system.
And I think in that second round pick range for them, that's the spot where I think he's going to go.
So there you go. That was Brad Spielberger, and you'll hear a couple more little sound bites from him later on in the show, talking about a couple other individual players. But like what I was seeing and like what I'm hearing about Iowa linebacker Jack Campbell, and he was not a guy that was on my radar. My man Vinny Bonsignore, that was actually his guy that he pointed out and kept telling me, Q, keep an eye on him, keep an eye on him. I think he would be really a good fit in Patrick Graham's defense. So I got to give Vinny a lot of credit, and I don't know who pointed him out to him, but whoever it was a pretty smart person because, Jack Campbell seems like a guy that could definitely be on the Raiders' radar. And how about one more guy? Pitt's Kalijah Cansey is defensive tackle. He's 6'1", 281 pounds. He ran a 4.67 official time in the 40. That's the fastest time by a defensive tackle at the combine since 2006. And he's been drawing a lot of comparisons to Aaron Donald. And also they both went to Pitt, but he definitely has been drawing a ton of comparisons to Aaron Donald. And that 40-yard dash since 2006, that was Aaron Donald. So here's a lot of numbers that are very similar. Of course, I'm not going to ever put he is Aaron Donald, but I mean, he has those traits, right? And so, if you can't get a defensive tackle like a Jalen Carter, who knows where he's going to go in the draft? Maybe a Kalijah Cansey is the guy that you're looking at. So, again, the Raiders need a lot of defense. He is a hell of a player. He did a hell of a job at Pitt. Pitt actually had the most sacks in college football in 2022, and Kalijah Cansey was a big reason for it as he was collapsing that pocket from the defensive tackle position. So another guy to continue to look at as this draft process goes, but he's another guy that stood out in a major way on Thursday at the Scouting Combine. So that's all I got for you for segment number 1 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Kind of wanted to give you an update of what was going on here in the town. Coming up in segment number 2, I want you to hear from a couple defensive backs that I was able to talk to on Thursday as they had their podium session. Some guys that I believe should be on the Raiders' radar. Again, defense. We know they need a quarterback, but they also need a lot of defense. So we'll do that coming up in segment number 2 after I tell you about Built Bar. And I've been talking about Built Bar for a long time, and I should have brought some extra Built Bars with me to Indy. Had a couple earlier, but I should have had a bunch with me because I'm spending some late nights and early mornings at the convention center, so I could have had some Built Bars to be munching on some more. And the good thing about them is they're low in sugar, they're high in protein, and low in calories. 100% chocolate. They have the marshmallow flavors if you're a big marshmallow person. And I'm not a big marshmallow person at all, but I know a lot of people are. So they have the Built Bar Puffs, many different flavors. They have the regular OG Built Bars. I'm more of that kind of a person where, like I said, I'm not really a big marshmallow marshmallow guy, but they have so many different things to choose from, so many different flavors. There's something for everyone. They even have the granola bars, which I do like granola bars. Those are good. So there you go. Built Bar granola bars. They got the puffs. They got the regular OGs, I like to call them. And you can get 15% off them if you go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON15. Or if you're in the Las Vegas area and just want to walk into the store, you can do that as well. They have them at Smith's. They have them at Sam's Club. And they have all kind of different boxes, 4-packs, 13-packs boxes. Whatever you want, they have them available at Smith's and they have them available at Sam's Club. So go ahead and get your hands on a great tasting protein bar. It is a Built Bar. I've been telling you about it for a long time. Built.com, promo code LOCKEDON15. Or check them out inside of Smith's and Sam's Club. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want you to hear from a couple different defensive backs that I had an opportunity to talk to on Thursday at the Scouting Combine in the Convention Center. They'll be on the field later on today, so I want you to hear from them, and then, boom, you'll be able to see them in action at the Scouting Combine. So the first one is Oregon defensive back Christian Gonzalez. He's a guy that is expected to go top 10. Could very well be the very first defensive back off the board. Seems like a really cool dude, from the few minutes that we had with him and from his answers, you could tell he's a very competitive dude. But, just a lot of good stuff. And, again, a guy that I think everyone should be paying attention to. Very easily could be the first defensive back off the board. Here's Oregon defensive back Christian Gonzalez.
3 years ago, you're 326 overall, 46 player in Texas. Now you're a projected first rounder, possible top 10. How'd you do it?
Just continuous work, never giving up. Just keep going, keeping my head on straight, and a lot of support. It was great, and I'm just ready to get going. What would being the first corner to come off the board, first or second, what would that mean to you? I mean, it means everything. That's what I strive for my whole life. All I've worked for, is here. So I'm excited to get going.
What has this draft process been like? What kind of how many teams have you been talking to?
It's been a lot. It's been fun. I've been enjoying it. Just soaking in every moment. It's surreal. It's here. So talking to a lot of teams, and it's like I said, it's a lot of fun.
What's the NFL team getting in you?
Yeah, what they're getting is just someone that's going to be their best every day. Come out and be able to do multiple things from different positions, and someone that's just, like I said, going to work every day and bring a lot to the team.
Tell me what goes through your mind when you're lining up with the egg coverage, even zone coverage, these are you watching?
Yeah, a lot goes into it. A lot of film study, just starting from the smallest things to find out how I can get an advantage on the receiver. Then just going out there and just going out there with confidence and knowing, trusting my technique and doing what I do. And it's a lot goes into it, and all start from film study.
What was kind of the biggest change for you, the biggest growth in your mind, say?
Yeah, what I feel like I improved on, everybody was asking if I had ball skills, and, I went out and showed I got the ball skills that I trusted in, and I knew I had that my whole life, but, I just had to go make the plays.
How important would it be for you to have a coach at the next level allows you to kind of utilize the style you like to play, not necessarily cram you in?
Right. I mean, I'm looking forward to play for any type of coach, just somebody that, is going to go out there and trust me, and I'm going to trust them to get me better and, just get to work for them.
Christian, describe your mentality on the field, especially with a one-on-one matchup, and what did it mean to see a player like Sauce be so successful in his first year for you?
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of goes back to what I was saying. It's all confidence. Playing this position. You're out there on the island by yourself, and that's what I live for. Big matchups. Anytime I get to go up against a great receiver, week in, week out, that's my favorite thing to do. And watching Sauce and those rookies, it's great to go through that, because they're tall, long, kind of lengthy corners, and I'm just like them. So, the fact that they can do it, I know I can go in there and do it as well.
Christian, if there's one or two plays from your...
David, that's my guy. I talk to him all the time, all good things. He's telling me great things, and, he's just telling me just to go in, be yourself, and the right thing's going to come.
What do you think is going to be the biggest adjustment for you going from college to the NFL?
yeah, the biggest thing, is just it's a new level. It's the highest level. It's a new speed. It's everything. Even more film study. It's just whatever you did in college. You gotta up it even more. It's the big man league now. So I'm really excited to see how this goes.
Christian, you talked about film study. 1 or 2 plays from your collegiate career that you'd want to show NFL teams that typify you as a player. 1 or 2 plays from your college career that really stood out to you in your head.
Yeah, there's a play when I was playing Stanford. Did a lot of film study. Knew that when they put certain feet up, they would run a certain route. And there was a play where I noticed they flipped. He kind of flipped mid route or mid stance, and went up and made the play.
That an interception?
A PBU.
Christian, what do you think separates you from the other corners in this class? What do you think separates you from the other corners?
Yeah, what I think is, I'm a long, speedy, versatile corner. Somebody that can line up on the outside. Guard a 6'5" receiver and line up inside and guard a 5'10" speedy type of receiver. Being able to be a smart player, learn very quickly, and just being able to change any type of way versus who I'm going against.
Christian, are there any other Colombian football players?
I'm not sure.
It means a whole different thing down there, doesn't it?
It's not a very big sport down there. They grow up really playing soccer, basketball, those type of sports. But it's been great being able to put on for Colombia and put on for my heritage. So I'm excited.
Who was your toughest matchup in college, and who are you most looking forward to covering in the NFL?
Yeah, my toughest matchup, I'll say, Drake London, my sophomore year at Colorado. He was a great receiver. He made plays, I made a couple plays, but he got the best of me. And that's one receiver I feel like I can. He taught me a lot. Just going against him, and all props to him. And I'm excited to, like I said, last question, just get in there and go against all the receivers.
What about some of those battles you had with Marvin Mims in high school?
Yeah, Marvin, that's my dude. We went back and forth. Junior and senior year. That really prepared me a lot for college. Going up against him, following him around. Him making plays, me making plays, and going back and forth, is a great thing. Texas football is huge. That's what we do down there. It's different down there. So, yeah.
What was that senior year game like where both of you had like 150 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, and how much did you guard him in that game?
Yeah, that game I was on him almost every snap, following him around, playing both ways. It was a lot of fun. Got a lot of mutual respect for each other. We talked to each other. We're from the same area. Haven't seen him around yet, but we'll run into each other. It was great. Just doing what we do, what we love, and being able to do it together, and then meeting back up here again is full circle. It's great.
So there you go. Just wanted to highlight Christian Gonzalez. Want you to make sure you pay attention to him. He's a guy that probably will put on a show here in Indianapolis later on today when the DBs take the field, run all the drills. He's going to do it really, really well. Brad Spielberger, Pro Football Focus. You heard from him in segment number 1. I had him on my radio show, and I asked him about Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter Jr. I didn't get an opportunity to talk to Joey Porter. I was with Christian Gonzalez, and then Joey Porter went, so I didn't have an opportunity to catch up with him. But here's Brad Spielberger talking about both defensive backs, Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter Jr.
I think Christian Gonzalez is potentially one of those guys that if he pans out the way he could be one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. I mean, he came on the podium today. I thought he was a linebacker. The guy is big,
Yeah,
right?
he is.
Like
yeah.
6'2", maybe over 200 pounds. And even at that size, one of the more fluid guys I've watched in a long time. So, sometimes those bigger corners, they get out there a little bit stiff in the hips. They can't turn. He can turn better than anybody in this class. So, I like Joey Porter Jr. a lot. I loved his quote today. My dad on the field, my mom off the field.
Yeah.
He said I smile more, a bit more laid back. But I think he still does. He mentioned he has that dog in him, and I believe him. And look, those Penn State guys on defense, all they do is come out and produce right away in this league right now.
So there you go. Real quick from Brad Spielberger on Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter Jr., both really good defensive backs, and they very easily could go 1-2, Gonzalez-Porter or Porter-Gonzalez, right? There's a very good chance that they can go 1-2 just like that. There's another defensive back that you'll hear from in segment number 3. he might actually go number 1, and he might actually be my favorite defensive back. That's a tease we have in the business. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. I did want to let you hear from one more defensive back, and that's safety Brian Branch from Alabama. He's a guy that, man, you want to talk about physicality. He brings physicality to the table. So I had an opportunity to catch up with him at the podium on Thursday at the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis inside the Convention Center. Here was that little podium session.
No, sir, I haven't met with the Jets. I'll meet with the Jets tonight. And Sauce Gardner, I played against him my sophomore year when we played Cincinnati. And just seeing him transform into the player he is now, I feel like is crazy. Like, he's really a lockdown corner, and it would be huge to play alongside him. And also Quentin Williams. Watching him when I was a kid in high school, just the O-line can't mess with him. So, like, just watching him do that is big.
Brian, how familiar are you with the long line of Bama players that have gone to the Ravens, and how, you think you might fit into the defense from what you might know about it?
The GM, Coach Ozzie, he went to Bama, so that's a good thing. And watching Marlon Humphrey and Jalen Armour-Davis last year go there, I feel like gives me a huge advantage because they like Alabama guys, and just being able to go there and play in their scheme, I feel like I'll do really good. Really just get the other guy down who's carrying the ball. You have to have the will to tackle, I feel like. And honestly, this year I feel like my tackling wasn't as it should have been. I missed a few key tackles that I should have made, and really just the will going into it.
Brian, what teams have you met with so far?
I met with 16 teams so far. It's a lot. I have 25 in total in all formal.
Have you met with the Packers or those one of those teams?
Yes, ma'am.
How did that meeting go, and what do you sort of know about that defense?
Knowing that they play man a lot, I like that. I talked to them about blitzing, and I feel like this scheme, I can fit perfect into that scheme as well, because I can guard the slot. And just getting connection with the coaching staff, getting the feel for them, I like their staff.
Hey, the Falcons put a peach up on the board for all the players from Georgia. With you being from Sandy Creek, you'd be one of those. Have you talked to them, and what would it mean to pay for the Falcons in Georgia?
No, sir, I haven't talked to them yet. I'll meet with them tonight, and it'll be huge. I told one of the reporters that it's home. My mom is right up the street, so she can come just watch me play instead of having to drive. And just being able to play for the Falcons, represent my hometown, home city, is big.
Brian, when you were talking about those missed tackles, you could see your demeanor kind of change. Like, it still bothers you. How much does that burn in your belly about being at the top of your game at all times?
That burns a lot. After a game, I'll watch that film for the next 3 days, and seeing that, like, I know I'm better than that. So it's like it hurts a lot, and it's stuff that I can't get back. I just have to look forward and do better.
Brian, what was Mac Jones like as a teammate?
Mac Jones, a.k.a. the Joker, a great quarterback, very fun, jokes with his teammates, a leader, and just overall great quarterback, I feel like.
How about Christian Barmore? Seemed like a funny guy, too. Yeah.
Christian Barmore, also a joker. What's your take? He's a team guy. He's just somebody, once he's different when he's goofy off the field, but once he get off the field, he's strictly business.
Have you had a chance to meet with the Raiders yet?
Yes, sir.
How was that?
I love that meeting with the Raiders. They were good, so looking forward.
So there you go, Alabama safety Brian Branch right there, and that's a guy that you want to talk about protecting the back end and coming up and really laying the wood, but also not being a liability in the back end. I mean, that dude could be a big-time player. I think he is going to be an absolute force. I can see if the Raiders were to trade back. I don't see him at number 7, but if they were to trade back in round 1, I can see them pulling the trigger on Brian Branch. I wouldn't be mad. Look, the good thing about it is no matter what position they attack on the defense in the draft, it's going to be a position of need because they need help on every level. Defensive line, corners, linebackers, safety, they need it all. They just need to get really talented players, and then they can figure it out after that. But Alabama safety Brian Branch, I would have no problem with the Raiders go ahead and making the move for him. But there's one defensive back that I'm really, really becoming a big fan of. Had an opportunity to spend extra time with him on Thursday. I'll tell you why. In segment number 3, you'll hear from him, plus Brad Spielberger has some thoughts on him as well. I'll tell you his name next here on the Locked On Raiders podcast. Here we go, Raider Nation, segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast, and want to let you hear from, I think, my favorite defensive back right now in the draft. And you know my motto, DBs win games. Can't wait to see what he's going to do on the field later on today. But this is a dude that I really have my eye on, and that is Illinois cornerback Devin Witherspoon. And yes, I said Illinois. Nate Hobbs went to Illinois, and they go after it, man. They get after it there at Illinois. A lot of the guys fly under the radar. They might not get a whole bunch of offers coming out of high school, and they might not be like 4 or 5 star recruits, but they can get out there and play, and they have chips on their shoulder. And it's funny, after I heard Devin Witherspoon speak on Thursday, I said, I told my man Vinny, I said, man, he reminds me of Nate Hobbs, but just doesn't have the kind of dark tone to his voice like Nate Hobbs does. Nate is very kind of just straight up, matter of fact, and he's got edge to him. Devin was a little bit more playful, and I say playful, I don't really mean playful, that's the wrong word, but he seemed like a really good dude and a guy that was really living in the moment and excited. And look, he could end up being the very first defensive back taken, but here was some good stuff, man, with Illinois cornerback Devin Witherspoon.
When you see your name on these draft boards out there, if you look at that or not, you see where you're going. How do you feel about that when you think about all the things you've been through to get there?
I try not to focus on things like that, but every now and then I get to see it because my mom sent it to me. It's just still an unreal moment at the moment. So I'm just very proud of myself. Still got a lot of things I want to do, but I'm just very happy that I accomplished the things that I did.
What has this draft process been like for you so far?
It's been tough, just the combine and just the workouts and stuff like that, but I know it all benefited in the end. It's also been fun just knowing that I'm one of the top guys in the NFL draft, and I'm just trying to focus on being me.
How many teams have you met with?
I think I met with a total of 17 teams already.
Can you give us an example of how the combine is hard?
Just a lot of interviews, it's time consuming, but it's all worth it. So.
When do you think it's going to set in, Devin? Like where your this opportunity that's in front of you will be after the draft, will be leading up. Like, what do you think it'll hit you?
Well, I really don't know, to be honest, but it'll hit me soon. Once I know the NFL draft's coming up, and after I finish pro day and things like that, it'll start dawning on me then.
Have you met with the Raiders yet?
No, sir, I did not meet the Raiders yet.
You got Nate Hobbs out there.
Yeah, no, that's my
brother.
Yeah, play with him in college, and that's my guy. So.
Hey, Devin, could you describe, if you're bragging about yourself, describe yourself as a cornerback?
I typically don't do things like that, though, but I just know I'm confident, I'm physical, I love the game of football, I'm smart, I love to study, just try to get the edge on my opponent. I'm just energetic, just very passionate about what I do.
What do teams tell you they like about you?
Just how physical I am, just how I approach the game. They love the way I play, they love how aggressive I am. But it's a couple things I need to work on as well, though. So, yeah.
Devin, you came to a different coaching staff than the one you finished with. How much was that helpful for you?
It helped me entirely. Just learning more about the game of football. Coach B broke it down to me in a way that I could understand it for myself, and it just helped me play faster on the field. So, really appreciate him for that.
Is there some pride with you and Sidney Brown in the secondary showing up here? What does that feel like?
It's an unreal feeling for all of us. Because we've been playing with each other basically all our career, knowing that what we went through and just knowing how we came out on top this year just feel good. Just know that we're here.
Well, what do you think of the story of the twins, of Sidney and Chase running around here together?
Nah, that story there's gonna be fire, man. Just knowing those guys and playing on the same team as them, you can just understand the things that they've been through and just how they approach the game of football themselves. They're just real great group of guys. So
what teams have you met here formally with?
Formally, it's been a couple of teams. I don't remember the exact names, but it's been a lot of them. So
are the Cowboys one of them by chance?
Yes, sir. I just met with the Cowboys last night.
How'd that go? Did they have anything weird have you do?
Nah, yeah, it went good. They just asked me a couple of questions, but they love the way I play. So.
Any Bears interaction?
Yeah, I met with the Bears yesterday as well.
You did? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Could you talk to us about how it's been to play for Coach Henry and also with Coach Walters?
It's been real fun playing for those guys. They're real player-orientated. They just try to pour into the guys as much as they do on the field as well as off the field. They just want to see us be great. They just try to maximize our strength and just try to minimize our weaknesses. They're always going to push you to do your best, but they just want you to be great on the football field.
Did you meet with the Arizona Cardinals, and how'd that go?
Yes, I remember that was my last meeting actually last night. It went very well.
Coach Gannon?
Yes, sir. They love my game as well, but it's just an unreal feeling to me with that team as well. It's just been fun.
What's it say about Illinois to have 3 DBs here, Kirby last year, obviously what you guys have done? What kind of foundation or identity is being established defensive back-wise? So?
We just physical and we're here to play. We're here to make our mark. And just everybody who doubted us, we're just here to prove everybody wrong. So,
what's the level of pride there? Because at one point you guys, you know the statistics from years back. What's the one of pride to go from there to where you guys are now?
Just continue to do what we was always doing this past year, just to be ourselves, just show the world who we are.
Yeah, but you know what you're going to do on the draft day? You're going to be Kansas City, you're going to be home. Or do you know yet?
I haven't made a decision on that yet, so.
Could you see going to the draft?
I could see myself going to the draft, yes, sir.
Have you traditionally watched the draft every year as kind of one of those things you always do?
Yes, sir. I've been watching the draft the past couple of years as well because I got a lot of the guys that I played with into the draft, especially one of the guys that I grew up with last year, Mark Emerson Jr. He drafted to the Cleveland Browns, so it's just a real good feeling knowing that he got drafted and the things that he went through. It was just good seeing him get drafted.
This is a great corner class, apparently. Have you got to hang out with any of those guys? Do you know some of those guys that are competing with you in the draft?
I got the chance to hang out with some of those guys. We were working out together at Exos in Frisco, Texas. Just a real good group of guys. We always competitive, so we always try to push ourselves to be our best. And anything we do, we just compete with each other. So it's just been real fun meeting those guys and just going and working out with them.
How do you sum up your story from a no-star recruit to standing here today for where you are?
Just play with that chip on your shoulder. No matter how highly recruited you are, it doesn't matter. If you're a dog on the football field, they'll come find you. So.
You're the best cornerback in the draft?
Yeah, I'm the best cornerback in the draft.
Who's the toughest receiver you faced?
This year or in my career?
Either.
Yeah, in my career, my toughest receiver I faced was Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. He was just a great receiver all around.
When did you know, when did it become clear, I guess, what your draft stock was becoming? Was it during the season? Was it after? When did you know, this is kind of where I'm at right now?
Well, I wasn't getting any much buzz during the season until I found out I became a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. I think that's when this thing started to, juice up a little bit. But it wasn't until after the season when I started to boost up all the way up the draft.
Hey, Devin, do you have a favorite player that growing up that you idolized?
Favorite player? Not really, but my favorite cornerback is Darrell Reeves. So.
What do you think your legacy is at Illinois?
Just a guy who came from nothing and who just continued to work his tail off throughout the years and just maturing and growing up, just coming out on top. So
your life is going to change here in the next month, right? Forever.
Right.
When you think about those moments, not just walking on the stage, but the opportunity, the money, and everything else that's coming for you, what comes to mind?
Everything, just things that I've been through, the lifestyle I used to live, just helping my mom out. It's just a lot of things that plays into that. But right now, I'm just continuing to focus on getting better.
What's your time in Champaign mean to you?
It means everything to me. Coming to the University of Illinois, the history was we haven't been winning for a long time, but we got a chance to change that around this year, so it just feels good. I'm glad I made the decision that I made.
Yeah, I think you'll forever be remembered for that Wisconsin game. That was your first year. You made the tackle. What do you remember about that moment, and maybe how that propelled your confidence to?
Yeah, I remember everything about that moment. We was in man-to-man, but I ended up getting beat on the slant play. That's what many people don't know. I got beat on the slant play, but I just never gave up on a play and just made a tackle and give a defense another chance to make a stop. And those guys held my back, so I just shout out to them.
Is there a certain receiver in the NFL you're looking forward to lining up against?
All of them. I just love to take on the challenge.
Do you have that mentality of quarterback mentality where
you know you're going to get beat sometimes, and you just got to put it away.
Yeah, that's just a game of football. That's the game we play, so can't let a one play beat you more than once. So.
What does the game of football mean to you?
It means everything to me. After we found a love for it again, I'm very passionate about what I do, so that's why you see me so energetic out there on the field.
If you weren't playing football, what would you be doing?
I have no idea. To me, I don't even know.
What do you mean refound a love?
I actually played football when I was a little kid in Pop Warner, but I started playing my 7th grade year, so I had hoop dreams, you know. So.
Why go back?
My mom always wanted me to play one more year of football. After I did my junior year of high school, I received my first scholarship offer from Troy University, and I just ran with it ever since. I just found a love for it.
Illinois hasn't had a top 10 pick in the draft since Simeon Rice in '96. What would it mean to you to be the next guy there to get that opportunity?
I don't know. It's just good. It's just a good feeling knowing that I was one of the guys being drafted in the first round for a long time. That just speaks to shows like what type of culture we're building there at Illinois. So,
where's your confidence come from?
It's always been in me. I'm just confident in what I do. I'm always a competitor, so I want to win everything I do.
Did any of the teams have you doing like any interesting things during the meetings? I heard the Bears were doing mini golf. Did they do anything with you?
Nah, they ain't do nothing like that. So, that would have been fun though. I don't remember the team, but we was playing darts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think I beat him though.
So there you go right there. Watch him, and watch him some more at the Scouting Combine when he's actually on the field going through all the drills. I think he can easily be the best dude. And I was so excited by listening to what he had to say at the podium when I had Brad Spielberger on my show. I had to ask him about his thoughts on Devin Witherspoon and listen to what he had to say. He was pretty fired up about him as well.
He is one of the hardest hitting cornerbacks I've seen in a very, very long time. I mean, Illinois played a lot of man coverage, so has shown he can do that. A lot of colleges, maybe they don't see guys play a lot of man. They play a lot of soft zone, and so you're projecting to the NFL where they play more man, and you're worried there. He's done that. And no, I'm saying there's some film of him laying the biggest hits in all of college football last year. I think he is a potential top 10 pick as well. A little bit smaller than the guys I just mentioned, but still 6 feet tall, about 185. I want to say it is. For me, like Detroit Lions at 6, like it is the most like the perfect team need player fit. It makes all the sense in the world to me.
What about one pick behind? How about number 7? is that a good location for Devin?
Yes, 100%. I think Patrick Graham would love to work with him. Again, a guy who wants to play more man principles. I think plays zone at times because he needs to based on personnel, but 100%. I think they need that like aggressive dog type guy back there, and he is that guy.
So there you go, right there. Good stuff. I definitely believe he's a guy that would allow Patrick Graham to play the kind of defense he wants. Really all the guys, Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter Jr., Devin Witherspoon, they all can play man-to-man defense. They're all very physical. You know, they can bump and run at the line of scrimmage with the best of them. I think that any of those guys, if the Raiders were to select any of them, would be good options. But I really do think I'm liking Devin Witherspoon a little bit more than anyone else. And I do love the fact that when asked if he's the best defensive back in the draft, he said, "Yes, I'm the best." Who do you look forward to going up against? All the wide receivers. You know, I mean, like he's about his business. He's got that edge to him. He talked about football and what it means to him. And so I don't know, man. There's something about him. That's going to be my DB number 1. But again, Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter Jr., any of those guys could be really good defensive backs in that Patrick Graham scheme. And those are early round defensive backs. There are so many out here in Indy right now. There's probably going to be 20 DBs taken in the first 3 rounds, if not more. So if they don't get any of those guys, there's still plenty of good ones to choose from, but those are some that really stood out to me, and I really look forward to seeing them go through their drills later on today. So that's all I got for you for today's show. That's all I got for you for this week, and I'll be back in Las Vegas Saturday morning. Of course, we'll be back here on the Locked On Raiders podcast on Monday, giving you a full recap, all my thoughts, everything that I get to see on TV when I get home, whatever audio and stuff I collect later on today. Should be a lot of good stuff, and we'll be talking about it. We'll be breaking it down here on the Locked On Raiders podcast. So have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the Combine, Raider Nation. We'll be back at it on Monday. Until then, take care of your family. Take care of yourself. Love on your family. And most importantly, as always, just win, baby.